And meanwhile, look up.
Solo Sikoa has a message for the WWE Universe ahead of his tribal combat against Roman Reigns. Solo Sikoa sent a message ahead of his tribal combat against Roman Reigns on the January 6th edition of Monday Night Raw. The tribal chief asked the WWE Universe to acknowledge him. Sam Roberts claimed that Solo Sikoa is shifting back to his swaggy persona. Sam Roberts believes Solo Sikoa is shifting back to his swaggy persona, but is intimidating at the same time. Speaking on the NotSam Wrestling podcast, Roberts claims Sikoa also can command the WWE Universe. He said, "Now he's playing on a different level, and that's true. But I think you also have to take into account that he's a young guy, and just a few years ago, he had no experience, and now he's holding the audience in the palm of his hand like a very few performers have the ability to do so." Leading up to the tribal combat, Sikoa has been pinned twice by Reigns. At the Bad Blood Premium Live event, the OTC teamed up with the man who dethroned him at WrestleMania XL, Cody Rhodes. Reigns also secured the victory for his side in the men's War Games match by pinning Sikoa. It remains to be seen who walks out with the Ula Fala on January 6th, the Red Brand's big premiere episode on Netflix. Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa will not have a special title. Roman Reigns lost his title at WrestleMania XL to a wild Cody Rhodes, but he continues to be a reference point in the WWE backstage. The tribal chief is currently involved in a very spectacular feud with Solo Sikoa, whom he will face in the first episode of Monday Night Raw on Netflix on January 6th, 2025. During the last edition of Survivor Series on November 30th, Roman's original bloodline defeated Sikoa's new bloodline thanks to the decisive contribution of a legend like CM Punk. In recent weeks, rumors had circulated about the possible willingness of WWE management to create a new Tribal Chief Championship in the near future. Sources indicate WWE has discussed introducing a Tribal Chief Championship into the storyline between the Tribal Chief and Solo Sikoa, similar to the People's Championship presented to The Rock at WrestleMania earlier this year. WrestleVotes reported a few days ago. Roman Reigns will face Solo Sikoa. According to Dave Meltzer in the latest edition of Wrestling Observer newsletter, this hypothesis would have been definitively discarded by Triple H. As for the rumors related to the introduction of a new title dedicated to the Bloodline storyline, I have been told that this eventuality will not occur. Samoan wrestlers will continue to fight for the Ula Fala, Meltzer explained. As already anticipated, Roman and Solo will be the protagonists of a highly anticipated tribal combat match in the first episode of Raw on Netflix on January 6th, 2025. Although there are no titles up for grabs, this clash will serve to decree who is the real tribal chief of the Stanford Company. On the latest edition of the In the Click podcast, WWE veteran Sami Zayn discussed the tribal combat match between Roman and Solo Sikoa. They've announced CM Punk versus Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns versus Solo for the Ula Fala for who's the real tribal chief. Both of those matches could have been on WrestleMania, but they're on Raw for the Netflix premiere, so it tells you what a big deal this is. WWE Raw. Best and worst. Solo Sikoa saves Roman Reigns' biggest enemy. Massive walkout. This week's episode of WWE Raw had low expectations since it was pre-taped ahead of Christmas week. Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn resumed their feud to open and close the show. Seth Rollins had a sit-down interview with Jackie Redmond and was more serious than usual. The New Day continued to experience the fallout from kicking Big E to the curb. This Monday's Raw only featured one women's match. Io Sky advanced to face Lyra Valkyria next week in the semifinals of the Women's Intercontinental Championship tournament. Gunther also failed to appear for the second straight week. Here's the best and worst from the latest episode of WWE Raw. Drew McIntyre opened Raw with an emotional promo about his mental and physical state following the brutal Hell in a Cell match with CM Punk. He mentioned needing a break to heal both his body and his soul since a close family member had passed away. The locker room may not have known that had McIntyre not opened up. Even without them knowing, he claimed only one person reached out while he was away. Sami Zayn sympathized with Drew and criticized him for his words since they chose the life of a WWE star. Zayn stepped into the fray, claiming that what Jimmy USO and Jey USO do shouldn't concern him. Telling someone how they should feel isn't the best route. Sami would be right if they hadn't cost McIntyre some big opportunities. Both guys don't have to be easily forgiven by everyone for everything they've done. Best/worst, Io Sky takes advantage of an opportunity. The Pure Fusion Collective attacked Kairi Sane backstage last week. That thrust Io Sky to take her place in a triple threat match with Alba Fire and Natalya. Sky predictably won and will face Lyra Valkyria next week. The two have great chemistry and have faced each other in a few matches this year. The problem is Sane keeps getting the short end of things. She's taken the pin in losses for Damage Control and got destroyed by Raquel Rodriguez one week. Natalya also lost. Having her win the title may not be the most exciting decision, but it would make sense due to her place in WWE history. She's one of the longest tenured and most respected women in the industry. It would also have been a great opportunity for her to join her uncles, Bret and Owen Hart and Davey Boy Smith, who have won the Intercontinental title. Worst, Chad Gable squashes Akira Tozawa on Raw. WWE decided to reignite the feud between American Made and Alpha Academy. Neither team has done much after they parted ways. Yet WWE is returning to the well. Gable squashed Tozawa in less than 5 minutes. Otis saves his friend from further damage. The pairing is still boring, even if Otis gets cheers from the fans. It feels like a holding pattern, so things can change after the premiere of Raw on Netflix. Number 2. Best, The Judgment Day is a high school clique. The Judgment Day had a bad night on the latest Raw. Finn Balor and Liv Morgan passively argued with each other by having JD McDonough and Raquel Rodriguez vocalize their points while sitting beside each other. McDonough was tired of the situation, but Dominic Mysterio thought he could fix it and outsmart Damian Priest. He faced the Archer of Infamy until he sniffed out all of the group's hiding members. McDonough stood in the front row dressed as Santa. Carlito hid under the ring. Balor blindsided the Priest, but the War Raiders made the save. Later, they claimed it was because they shared the honor with the Priest and nod to their time in the Ring of Honor. WWE decided to have Seth Rollins sit with Jackie Redmond for an interview. CM Punk did so on last week's Raw. Rollins repeated his main points of Punk leaving and trashing the company. He also claimed Punk needed WWE more than it needed him. The Architect then mentioned how he disliked how Punk stood side by side with Roman Reigns after winning War Games. The second he mentioned Reigns' name, Jackie Redmond rolled her eyes. It's getting annoying when anyone who criticizes Reigns or Cody Rhodes receives an eye roll. Are people supposed to express themselves in 2024? Or is it only acceptable when their feelings/reactions fit into the correct narrative? Seth was undoubtedly getting